Welcome to Beyond Hormones, the Business of Wellness, the podcast for hormone and functional medicine providers who want a thriving, predictably profitable practice and maybe a little less stress along the way. Hi, I'm your host, Jody Lane, and I've worked with lots of clinics in marketing, sales, and business development, and I have seen what works and what doesn't. And here's what I believe. Hormone and wellness care should be available to everyone who wants it. And while providers know the medicine, many struggle with the business side of their cash practice. And that's where I come in. See, this podcast is here to share real strategies, real stories, things you can implement in your practice right away. So I am so glad you're here. Come on, let's go. Hey, everybody. Before we dive into today's conversation, I want to set the stage for you. You're about to hear from someone who has had a front row seat to the real world of hormone clinic marketing. He's had his share of wins and flops. He's seen and learned from the data. He practically wrote the book on strategy, and he has touched everything in between a hormone clinic's marketing plans. So my guest today is my friend and my former colleague, Kevin Hutchinson. Now, here's why this episode matters to you. So many providers are overwhelmed by marketing. And honestly, I don't blame you. The industry changes so fast. Ads are expensive and completely unpredictable. And you don't always know who you can trust. I mean, you may even have been burned by a marketer or an agency in your own battle to the top of the marketing food chain. But Kevin has spent years inside a high-performing hormone clinic testing and learning and optimizing and figuring out what actually works. He has seen the good, the bad, and the downright hilarious. And today he shares it all. So go ahead and get a pad of paper and be ready to jot down some notes because Kevin is not shy in this tell-all episode. So if you've ever wondered where to start, what to invest in, or how to grow your clinic without wasting money, you're going to get so much clarity from this episode. I personally had a blast talking to Kevin, and I know you're going to enjoy this. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Well, welcome everyone to the Beyond Hormones, the Business of Wellness podcast. I am super excited today because I have my friend, my former colleague, and my current co-founder, Kevin Hutchinson, on the podcast today. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Jody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to finally be on the show. We've been talking about this forever, and I'm super excited to be here.
Well, since we know each other pretty well, but the rest of the world doesn't know who you are and why we know each other, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are, what you do currently, and how we met?
Okay. Well, my background, I studied web graphic design and multimedia design and development and got into marketing right off the bat, working for a small consulting firm, and eventually ended up in B2B consulting as the director of marketing. And that really gave me a cool opportunity to learn to speak to multiple industries because they didn't just focus on one. They worked with contractors, restaurant owners, distributors, transportation and trucking. So I had to quickly learn how to speak to all these different audiences and and accomplish the one thing that all marketers are after, and that's driving lead generation, right? Yeah, I worked for that company for about 7 years, and I was starting to just get a little tired of it because I just needed a new challenge.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw this really cool job post one day for Florida Center for Hormones and Wellness, and took a chance, applied for it, and I met a very awesome COO at that time. And yeah, right off the bat, I think we hit it off bat
Yeah.
immediately. We were very much aligned on our approach to marketing in that we're storytellers and we're communicators, and we love speaking to an audience about the pain points that they're experiencing
Mhm.
and how our products and services can help fix those pains. And we do that with establishing authority for our business and, most importantly, empathy for their challenges. We understand
Yeah.
how those people are feeling in their experiences. And so, yeah, for the past year and a half now, I've been with Florida Center, and it's been an absolute blast.
Awesome. Now, not many hormone clinics have a director of marketing. So our listeners may not even know what it is that you do. Can you kind of describe a little bit about what you do in your role for the clinic?
Absolutely. So I run a very small department. I rely on a couple of different outsourced contractors to help me with social media management and then also our paid advertising. Really, I love surrounding myself with experts in their field. That was also, I'll drop another name, but that was where I started really working with Jamie Lane. You might have heard of him.
I might
Uh,
have.
but he's our PPC specialist slash expert slash guru. And yeah, a large part of my daily focus is in four areas of our company. Number one, it's search engine optimization. And I'm sure
Mhm.
everybody has heard about that. It's really just making sure that our website is ranking as best as it can for search terms related to hormone optimization, with sexual wellness, with weight loss, making sure that we're ranking, we're competitive with our local SEO. Number two, it's PPC, it's paid advertising. What are we doing to make sure that we are broadcasting to the world? And that's where Jamie and I work very closely together, creating new landing pages, creating new ads. And then next, social media, showing the world that we have a pulse. We are out there leading the charge, informing everybody about hormone optimization, how it can change your life, all those sorts of things. And then on top of that, it's patient retainage. So it's making sure that our patients are aware of our new services, that we're driving or at least attempting to drive referral traffic. So, number one, best lead can always come from a referral from a patient that's already experiencing your brand and the benefits that you're bringing to them. So, a large part of that is focused on referrals. So
Got it.
that's it in a nutshell.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
a lot. So your SEO, your paid advertising, your referrals, you're just making sure that there are new potential patients coming to the clinic on a day-to-day basis. Now, we both mentioned that, you do work with Jamie. You are a co-founder of AMP. Why are you doing the AMP thing on the side while you're also at the clinic? Like, what value do you see in working with other providers to helping them reach their goals as well?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with a selfish reason.
Okay.
So, number one, I love a challenge and I love figuring out different ways of communicating people's services to their local area. So, a great example was an awesome client that we worked with in Virginia Beach that completely different market than Orlando. So Orlando, obviously, we're relying on a lot of active older adults that may be retired, that we've got some theme park splash in there. We've got lakes and beaches, a lot of water sports. And Virginia Beach, they really wanted to emphasize their local landmarks. And so identifying things that are on the Virginia Beach boardwalk,
Mhm.
speaking to the passions of that community. So they're very much into hiking, mountain biking, those sorts of things. So like infusing hormone optimization, like everything that I've learned from Florida Center into Virginia Beach and making it hyper specific to that audience. Those kinds of things, I know it makes me a total geek, but like I love that challenge of like, how do I show myself as like, I am the expert in Virginia Beach. I am the expert in Michigan. That's what drives me.
Yeah,
Um,
no, what you're saying makes perfect sense because if you look at it from just a very simple perspective, when you're marketing hormones, it's all the same. It doesn't really matter where the person lives, what gender they are, how much money they have, how they were brought up. Hormones are hormones, right? They're in your body. One day they stop being in your body. But
mhm.
what I hear you saying is that in different markets, there's different messaging that you have to create in order to make that connection so that somebody can really listen to what it is that you're trying to say and then engage them and bring them in as a lead.
Absolutely, 100%. And you also want to establish that like that local feeling the
Yeah,
entire time. Like, look, I'm your neighbor. I'm not just like a business, a
right.
corporation coming in here. I'm local too, and I care about my community. That kind of messaging is just it fires me up. I love it.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad it fires you up because I guarantee that most of our listeners are confused or worried or even frustrated by their marketing because they just haven't been able to really make those kinds of connections. So let's dive into some successes and maybe some failures you've had so that people can learn. So, You've said a lot of things that you do at the center. Can you think of a campaign that you've done in the last year and a half that did really well? And if you can, like what was it? And then what about the campaign do you think made it successful and what were the results?
Absolutely. I'll try not to go too deep into the woods because like I can totally geek out about the imagery
Okay,
and
I'll cut you
our
off
whole
if you do.
approach.
Don't worry.
Please do. But definitely our Don't Settle for Normal, Live Extraordinary or Be Extraordinary. That was our most successful campaign that we've been running now, different alterations of it for about 6 months. And the overall messaging seems to really appeal to people, particularly the female audience. And
Mm,
the overall message that we're trying to go for is you don't have to settle for feeling like you have no energy, like you have no libido, all the common pain points that people experience when their hormones aren't optimized. We identify those pain points right off the bat on our landing page and on the ads that we run on Facebook. And that's primarily where we run our ads is Facebook ads and Instagram. But identifying those pain points and then quickly leading into the value props of what hormone optimization can do for you. I think that's something that everybody should really pay attention to, not just with paid advertising landing pages, but SEO in general, or like their core website pages, is to quickly summarize like what pain points am I speaking to? What value props am I going to get with this service? I have a general idea, but tell me right off the bat, what can I expect? Let's cut through the crap, just get to the point, and then lead into building the authority, the empathy about why you should choose us for that, your revitalization. That's been our most successful campaign, especially with the women folk. And then I'm going to use that to jump into the challenge problem area. And actually, I will tell you, it is my failure. We had a brilliant idea, Jamie and I, about we wanted to test out what would happen if we did a themed ad. And so in this case, it was St. Patrick's Day, and we thought like let's be a little cheeky because like the male audience has always been a challenge area for lead generation. And I think like a lot of doctors would probably identify with that men get a little weary or weird about talking about like hormone optimization and they don't want to
yeah.
admit that they have problems. So we thought, okay, let's put out an ad that's going to be eye-catching, fun, tongue-in-cheek, but delivering the same message about, fighting fatigue and all that. So we went with a St. Patrick's Day ad. And in this one, yours truly did the voice narration. I put on my best Irish accent, which was, I hope it didn't offend anybody from Ireland. But mix that with, I decided with this one to experiment with using AI generated videos. Got on ChatGPT and really worked with it, or Sora, I'm sorry, Sora, and really tried to like create these realistic images of guys at the pub drinking a pint and, but looking like something's off, and then slowly showing them having a great time with an Irish lass. Really put a lot of time into this thing. And it was a complete dud. We didn't get a single, like, we got a couple of comments about it, like, oh,
Mhm.
haha, but like, not a single lead. And it's interesting to me because sometimes comedy can work really well for a brand. And then other times it just falls flat. It was definitely a learning experience. I'm not saying to not try new things and not to explore different ways of messaging, but yeah, be prepared for the failure here or there where it's like, yep, that was a dud. And just don't be afraid to walk away from that and kill the ad after a couple of weeks. Give it some time to breathe, but kill the
Couple of
ad.
weeks. Well, I'd argue to say maybe a couple of days. So I love what you're talking about because one of the things that I really truly believe about marketing is that failure is a gift. If
Amen.
you are succeeding in everything that you're doing, then chances are something is not being done kosher. I'll say that. Marketing has a lot of failures, and the only way that you can improve and get better and tweak and really resonate with the audience is by looking at those failures and figuring out what it was that caused it to fail and then making it better the next time and in small iterations and doing it on a fairly quick basis, especially if you're spending money on ads. So I'm glad that you guys did that. That was really cool. Yeah, I saw that ad.
Yeah, how believable was I? Be kind.
It was okay. Let's talk about the fact that, sometimes marketing is a test. And when you are testing, you really do need to have a little bit of extra budget, you know, in order to put out an ad and spend like a couple $100s on it to learn something and then pivot and then more a couple $100. Like it could end up being a couple of $1,000s before you actually get a lead. And that's not something that every hormone provider has. They don't have that kind of budget. So
Mhm.
knowing that budgets are a struggle for some of these hormone providers, what would you say is the most important thing to spend your money on so that you can then earn some money back and then reinvest in more stuff?
That's a really good question because I think a lot of marketers would probably urge people to start with a small budget and just start experimenting with Facebook ads or any ads in general. Personally, I think with Hormone Clinic, depending on where they are in their stage and how much money they actually have, let's say that the Hormone Clinic has $0 for marketing or a couple of $100s a month. I would not run any ads on that personally. I would recommend them to focus on referral marketing and boots on the ground marketing. With referral marketing, rely on your current patients. Really make sure that these people are aware of the value that you're bringing to them. Obviously, they're experiencing it, but that you are accepting new patients. You would love for them to be, a referral, to their friends and family. Set up a simple automation, an email that goes out, inspiring people to go to a landing page and refer their family and friends on a little contact form and send that person an invitation to start a conversation. I think that is, for one, it's free. You just need a CRM, but then they already know the person who's bringing them into the fold. There's a little bit more trust there. Secondly, boots on the ground marketing. There is nothing more effective, especially this day and age, than face to face contact and promotion.
Mm.
So get out to your local gyms, get out to your different communities. If you have retirement communities, if you have any place, large groups of people, offer to give presentations and discussions about how your services can help these people live healthier, happier lives. As soon as they start seeing your face, you can't put a dollar sign on that. And it's completely free. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease. And yes, you've got to make those contacts. But that's where I would go personally before I ever invested money in paid advertising or anything like that.
I so totally agree. As a matter of fact, I just today finished a course for our membership site on how to use free events to generate more leads and more sales in the clinic. So, spending nothing and just using your existing patients as advocates, a little bit of social fun. So, we're on the same page. But let me ask you, let's go to a slightly different direction. So, when I started doing the marketing for Florida Center back in 2015, one of the things that I found was that education was the absolute golden rule for getting hormone prospects. So, in other words, educating a little bit about hormones and about life and about what was possible and the results is how we got leads in more than any other brand I had ever done before. How do you balance, and I know that you agree with that, right? You agree with that?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yep, you're preaching to the choir here.
Exactly. So, how do you balance educational content in your marketing and a call to action so that you don't just educate people to the point where they may go to another clinic and go sign up with them, but you keep them in that funnel so that you get them to take an action for your clinic?
Absolutely. Well, obviously, email nurturing is a big part of that kind of process. And I'll tell you what, like one of the campaigns that we put together as an awareness stage campaign, these are people that may be aware of hormone optimization, or actually, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. It was a consideration stage campaign.
Mm.
I misspoke. So, the consideration stage, these are people that are aware of hormone optimization. They're starting to shop around for possible providers. And one of the lead generators that we created was one where we lay out straight up front, download our guide, and these are the questions that you should ask every single hormone provider you speak to. And obviously, I'm the language kind of slants towards like, at Florida Center, this is what we do. But every single page had valuable questions that these people should really take into account, because if you're dealing with a hormone therapy clinic that is using synthetic hormones, for example, that is a massive negative. That is a red flag that you should avoid.
Absolutely.
So I think that by giving the people the information that they need, like we know that they're price shopping, they're looking at other clinics, but our differentiator is that, like, look, we want to help you make the most informed decision that you possibly can, whether you choose us or not. Obviously, we're
Right.
better, but
Right.
So we're building authority, we're building trust with this audience. And additionally, I try to make sure that the content that I'm then providing them, because like every single lead that comes in gets attached to our newsletter, and I'm making sure that every single one of our newsletters has a ton of value, whether you're a patient or not. It's a ton of value that you're now armed with more information. And you might not be a patient of ours right now, but maybe in a year or two, when you realize like I still feel like crap, this is not working, and I'm spending a ton of money on it's a waste. Eventually, you're going to come to us because you now know us and you trust us. That's my goal with that type of content, educational content. And so when it comes to dropping in CTAs and that sort of thing, I mean, yes, they are part of the PDFs. They are part of the every blog that we publish, every video that we publish. If you look in those descriptions or you watch those videos, there is guaranteed a CTA somewhere in that to start the conversation with us. We're happy to answer your questions and help guide you towards a happier, healthier life.
And for those that don't know what a CTA is, can you describe what that is?
Sorry about that.
That's
Call to
okay. Just to
action.
make sure everyone knows, it's very important.
Yeah, call to action, CTA.
Okay. And can you give some examples? What would be a call to
Absolutely.
action?
Guaranteed everybody who has been online has seen Book Now. That is a
Yes.
CTA that is on almost every single website.
Download
It
your
can
guide,
download your
right?
guide.
Download your is a CTA. I loved everything you just said because one of the things that really is frustrating to me as a marketer, but I know it's very frustrating to the providers because there's a disconnect. Everybody wants ROI, return on investment. I'm going to spend $1,000. I want to make $3,000. Like there is that desire. And I get it because in reality, why would you spend money on marketing if you're not making more in sales?
Mhm.
But what I heard you say is that you've got to be patient, that every single lead that comes through the door is not going to buy. But if you've got nurturing set up, then eventually people will come back to you or they may even go someplace else, right? And then they'll eventually come back to you. So knowing that, what kind of content do you think your prospects most like to engage with? Is it social posts? Is it videos? Is it the website? Like, what do you think makes the most sense to get leads to pay attention to the clinic?
Absolutely. Well, we are very video heavy at Florida Center. For one, I'm lucky that Doc loves making videos and he does a great job at them. Yeah, we focus on distribution on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, basically all the channels. And it's interesting to see too, like where the divides happen, like which audiences are on which platform. For example, men predominantly are on our YouTube channel, and any video that is about sexual wellness, for example, the P shot, for
Yes.
example,
Uh-huh.
that was a massive trending topic for us. Those
Hmm.
kinds of devices performed exceptionally well on YouTube, and I thoroughly believe like, oh no, we got to talk about hormones, testosterone. But surprisingly, like, yeah, they're interested in testosterone, but it's really sexual wellness that men are interested in on YouTube. And I'm not saying that this is going to be true for every audience or for every YouTuber
Sure.
out there.
Yeah.
TikTok does really well with female audiences, especially talking about estradiol and progesterone. People always have questions about that. So we get a lot of interactions back and forth on that platform. Instagram, Facebook, we get better traction on Instagram in terms of like social media, like organic social posts. Like we're not paying for this traffic, we're not paying for the clicks. But yeah, it's very interesting to see how different people react to different types of content on each different platform and which one's ideal for which. And I say this knowing that it could change tomorrow. And I would strongly encourage, like, for example, I'm not going to lean 100% in only doing sexual wellness videos for men on YouTube because now you're just putting yourself in a little tiny bucket. I strongly emphasize to any listener, you have to experiment, continue experimenting, look at what your competitors are posting on these channels and try to outdo them. Like, obviously, you have your own perspective to
Right.
testosterone optimization. You need to bring that to the world and talk about it. And that's what people really are looking for. And, I lean very heavy into YouTube because it's quickly becoming the second largest search engine. It might even surpass Google at this point, especially as AI generated search results start really taking a more prevalent role in people's online experiences. YouTube is going to be the number one search engine for people that are looking for something in their backyard. So Orlando, testosterone optimization, those are keywords that I'm trying to infuse in my videos right now because I'm expecting in a few years, Google is probably going to evolve into something much different than it is right now and what it's been before.
Yeah, I agree with you. So you said a lot. You said a lot of different things that you're doing, which is wonderful. And you encourage everybody to experiment, which is so, so important to learn. But how are you using the data to learn what you need to learn so that you can pivot appropriately to get the results that you want?
Absolutely. So obviously, Google Analytics is a number one tool for actually tracking, like, okay, this is the traffic that we're getting, and these are the results that we're getting from it. So a lead comes into our homepage or it comes into a service specific page. How does that lead navigate towards actually completing the contact form on,
Hmm.
on said page? Additionally, the contact forms that we use give us some really great tracking in terms of where that lead came from in the world. Like what part of Florida are they actually coming from? And sometimes it can, I know this is a little creepy, but like sometimes it can even give me the zip code that the person's based out of. So that kind of information is extremely valuable, especially if I'm able to track that lead through sales and see that it actually converted into a sale. Okay, that zip code now has a little bit more credibility to me that, like, okay, there might be, my audience might be in this region. So we can
Right.
adjust our Facebook advertising to that part of Orlando. And, I know that's very micro targeted ads, but that's one way that we track our successes. Additionally, just tracking the lead through the funnel, it relies heavily on communication with the sales department because I only get maybe three-quarters of the story from my end. Okay, the lead came in. I can tell you that it came from Facebook. I can tell you which campaign that it came from. But what happened after that lead dropped into our CRM and the automation started? And how long did it take? Like you said, a lot of leads you have to build that relationship with. And sometimes it takes 3 to 4 months for that person to finally answer the phone or call us, whatever that is. So tracking that requires a lot of communication with your sales team. And I'm lucky because our sales team manager is awesome and she keeps meticulous notes. And yeah, I'm very fortunate in that regard.
So let's talk about that for a second because I know that you work very closely with the sales team. And I hear this from all hormone clinics. This is not just yours. There is a real issue with leads not picking up the phone. Right? So they engage with something on the website or they engage with something on the campaign. They've raised their hand. They said, I'm interested in whatever it was that you were showing. And then the salesperson tries to call and they don't answer. So, how do you deal with that? I know that, like I said, everyone is dealing with that frustration in their clinic. So, what do you guys do so that they can learn from you?
Absolutely. It's a pebble in our shoe also. And some of the things that we're finding, and I strongly recommend, is that you have to reduce that time from the lead converting on your page. They have completed the contact form, raised their hand, and said, I'm interested. You have to reduce that time from when they filled out that form to you picking up the phone to call them to as little as possible. Because if you let that lead sit for even 12 hours, that person's already starting to forget about you. The number of times that I've heard from the sales team that, okay, we finally managed to connect with this lead and they have no clue who we are and they don't remember filling out the form. I hear that almost every single week. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but people are bombarded with information and ads on a daily basis. And I don't blame them for forgetting, like, oh, yeah, I was interested in testosterone because they were also interested in buying a new umbrella that they saw advertised.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you have to cut that time from lead conversion to first point of contact to as short as possible. And I will also kind of deviate from that to follow it with one of the tools that we started exploring was AI phone dialers. The thought being that lead converts, and then within half an hour or so, an AI will call them and answer their questions and at least start the conversation. And I'm going to tell you, like, I think there's something to this technology. Clearly, there is because everybody's doing it. But when you are navigating conversations about health, boy, I'll tell you, you're talking about an emotional conversation and a very personal conversation. And if you're going to start that with an AI bot that you can tell just by the simple lag or like it will not have the connection that you need
Right.
to start that relationship. And I think, especially with hormone health, you need that empathy that somebody will understand, like, look, I understand what you're going through. AI will never accomplish that.
I wonder though if you could use the AI tool as almost a scheduler and not as a replacement for the salesperson. So, hormone clinics are busy. They have leads coming in, they have patients coming in, and of course, the patient physically in the office is going to take precedent every time. But if you
Mhm.
use that AI tool to call immediately and say, "We saw that you just filled out a form on our website. We're so excited to talk with you. Can you please tell me when would be a good time for one of our salespeople to call you back?"
Yes,
And
that is a
it's
really good point.
and that way you're not having that personal dialogue. Yeah, I think there's ways to use AI that is beneficial, and there are ways to use AI that are creepy. And
Yes.
having an AI person talk about your hot flashes and your brain fog, I think borders on the creepy.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. We ended up shifting that focus into how can AI start alleviating some of the pressure on our front desk team
Oh,
and help
okay.
with that scheduling
There you
and
go.
also help with prescription refills and scheduling. So we are starting to explore that side of it. But definitely, if you're going to rely on AI for a more emotional, in-depth conversation, you definitely don't want to go down that road.
So let's go back to some advice for the providers that are listening. So we have always a tendency to talk about those that are starting out, those that don't have a lot of money, because those are the folks that really are suffering and you want to help them. But let's focus on those folks that have a clinic. They're doing well, they're profitable, but they're ready to take it to the next phase. What kind of advice would you give to a clinician that called you up and said, "Kevin, I'm at 750,000 a year. I want to double it next year. What should I do with my marketing to really double my sales?"
I would ask them to double your sales. Number one, well, where are your sales at currently? Really get an understanding of
They ended the year with
okay, sorry.
750,000 and they want to,
To
and
double
honestly, let's not get caught up in the numbers. Talk about somebody who's been in business for a little bit and is ready to start investing in marketing. Obviously, with the folks that don't have a lot, we're going to go grassroots, we're going to go referrals, we're going to spend nothing. But now we got somebody who's got some money and they're scared as all get out because a lot of marketing agencies are not good. You and I both know that. They make a lot of
yes.
promises and they do not come through. So what should they be doing? What should they be looking for?
I would say start small and start strategically. Start with a simple campaign that run it through Facebook. I strongly recommend also local Google Ads search. That will help fuel your search engine optimization.
Mhm.
But I would say that you don't want to start with what you feel is comfortable and don't let somebody talk you into investing something like 5 grand right off the bat and I'm going to
In a
accomplish this,
billboard
that,
or
and the other.
something?
And I would definitely, to follow up what you said earlier, any marketing industry or marketing consultant that tells you like, oh, for $500, I'm going to get you X number of leads, and I guarantee that within a month or so, you're going to be getting X number of sales. Don't run away from those people. You really want to find a marketing partner who can explain to you step by step how we're going to grow this thing based on where you feel is comfortable. We're going to set goalposts to say that once we've hit a certain level of cost per click or cost per lead, and then based on like where that lead goes, when that conversion happens into a sale, then we start investing a little bit more. Like make it a gradual growth. You don't have to throw everything in the kitchen stove into your marketing budget in order to start getting traction. Start small, start with what you feel is comfortable, and find a partner that's going to tell you not just like, okay, I'm going to spend your money on these ads. No, I want to hear like, what is the strategy? How do you intend to use my dollars to slowly grow my footprint digitally? Those are the kind of marketing partners that I prefer because, as you said, like marketing is not like a flip a switch and we're off and running and we're getting all the leads in the world. No, it's a lot of experimentation. It's a lot of time that goes into it and figuring out how do we message correctly to our audiences. It's an ongoing test and learn
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, it is. It's an ongoing test and learn. And I'm going to add one more thing to the advice when you're looking for a marketing partner. Somebody needs to tell you how they're going to understand your industry. I am
Mm,
baffled. I mean, before you came to the clinic, I had 6 years under my belt with I wasn't the marketer and I didn't have an agency or I was looking for agencies. And I was always surprised at how they were ready to go right away. And I'm like, well, how do you know anything about hormones or the medication or the side effects? Like, and I see a lot of agencies, they rely on the client to give them that information. Well, if you're going to be doing all of that, then you better reduce that cost of the marketing because that's a lot of work on your part and not as much work on the agency, which brings me to my second to last question for you. So, if you were going to recommend to a practitioner if they should hire an agency or they should hire a person like you, what should they do?
Ooh, that's a good question.
And the doc's not listening, so you're not going to lose your job.
Well, I mean, first thing you need to do is massive bonus, of course, like right
Yeah.
off the bat. Uh, but I would say that if you're weighing between having an in-house marketer and a outsider helping you, like what are your goals for the business? Are you in this for the long haul? Are you looking for somebody that's going to understand your unique voice, your unique brand, and help you not just build the authority of your clinic, but also you, the practitioner? Then yeah, I would lean towards having an inside marketing expert. If you're not worried about that, you're kind of looking to, not that you're looking to build a quick thing and sell it, but if a longevity is not really your goal, then yeah, a marketing company, if you find the right marketing partner, they can be very valuable. But make sure that as you're courting them, that they're asking the right questions, that they're getting to understand you and what makes you unique. If they can't speak the brand voice of your company, then that's not a good marketing partner. And I see that time and time again, the number of marketing experts that come in promising you the world, but yet they really can't speak to why should people choose me? That is such a common core message that a
Yeah.
lot of marketers miss. They talk about the pain points, they talk about the value prop, all the same crap that everybody else talks about online. But what is your uniqueness? If they can't explain your authority, then they're not a good partner. So that's kind of my approach to it is like, what exactly is your ultimate vision for the business? Are you focused on longevity and building authority for you and your business? Hire an internal marketing person. That's not a concern for you? Then yeah, explore a marketing partner to help you.
All right. So that was great advice. So I'm going to ask you for another piece of advice. This is something that you and I have talked about quite a bit. So, websites. In the medical field specifically, it seems like there are a number of companies that will sell a website for like 200 bucks a month and you pay that price. They build you a website right out of the gate. It could be a $5,000 website, but they do it for $200 a month and you pay that until you decide you want to leave. But when you leave, you lose your website. All you get back is your domain versus spending the money to purchase an actual website that you have built on WordPress. But you have to have all the upkeep. You have to have somebody who manages. You have to hire somebody to do SEO. Both options have pros and cons. What does Kevin think?
Well, I might be too honest to a fault because personally, I hate the idea of locking somebody into working with me for the rest of the existence of their website and not giving them the freedom to decide for themselves. Like, look, this isn't working. Like, great. This is your website. You've invested the money into it. Obviously, monthly services, SEO growth, technical management, those are really important. And yeah, you should have a marketing partner that you can trust on those, but they should not hold you hostage to being an eternal client just to have a website. And most of the time, I'm sorry, I know I'm a little biased here, but like most of the time, those websites are absolute garbage and they don't properly manage them. So anybody that holds you into an agreement like that, I immediately start questioning their validity as a trustworthy or respectable business. Like you should have the power. It's your business, it's your website. That's
Let's
just my
let's
opinion.
let's say they're trustworthy. Let's say
Okay.
they're trustworthy because I really want the providers to get all the information because there are reasons to go that direction. So let's just assume that the company is a trustworthy company, but from a technical perspective, from a being found perspective, these sites, are they good? Can they have good SEO? Can they, because they're built off of templates, right? They're built on an infrastructure that isn't as open platform as WordPress and things like that. So are they
Mhm.
good? Can a provider do well with it?
Absolutely, a provider can do well with a website that's developed by one of those companies or any
Okay.
company for that matter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dogging on all of them. It's just my personal little soapbox
No,
to
I
stand
kind of agree
on.
with you. I agree with you that the short-term gain to pay $200 a month and you have your website for 10 years, you're going to spend an exorbitant amount of money on a website that you could have spent $8,000 to build and it was yours. in the end, it could cost you $80,000. So I'm with you on it, but sometimes it's the best option. So I just wanted to get your feedback. You are an SEO expert, so they can be found that, it is good technology.
Absolutely. The one thing that I would stress to every business owner, whether you're a practitioner or whatever business you're in, but I would stress that like so many business owners just don't understand websites and
Mm,
they just kind of
that's true.
trust whoever's managing it to be doing their job. And I would really make sure to hold those people accountable because there's so much that you already know, whether you're a techie person or not. You know what a website should kind of look like when you go onto it. And you can look on the page and go like, this doesn't look right, or this is broken. Take a look at your website on a monthly basis, weekly
Yeah.
basis, if you can, and do a spot check. Make sure that your phone is showing the website correctly, that your buttons, everything works. These are like little things that you can do just on a personal level to hold your marketing person accountable. Additionally, there are so many free online tools that you can use just for these little spot checks. Like, case in point, Google has a page speed test that will rank your website and tell you, are there any massive technical issues that are slowing down the performance of your site? And this is something that you literally just copy your domain name, drop it into the tester, and it'll pop up and tell you what's wrong with the site, what your score is, and just give you like an overall breakdown. And it'll also tell you, does your website rank or is it SEO optimized? If you do a
Okay.
Google search, just type in Google page speed test, it'll
We'll
pop
drop
right
it in
up
the
for
show
you.
notes
Yeah.
so that
But
people can access it from the link. Okay, awesome.
yeah, I would
Cool.
implore everyone to do that. A personal spot check, do the page speed test, and hold your marketing partner accountable. Ask them for monthly reporting and don't ever let them slide on that.
I think a lot of marketing agencies have stopped doing that because the clients don't ask for it. They don't take the time to read it. And so, great advice. Even if you aren't going to look at the reports, ask for them anyway, because the
Mhm.
fact that they're doing them means that they're stopping every month to pay attention. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, I
I
got
want to
one
know.
last question for you. I have taken something from Steve Barnett, who does the Diary of a CEO, one of my favorite podcasts, where we're going to ask you a question from one of our past guests, and you don't know who they are. So, here is the question. What has kept you from quitting when the going got tough?
Oh,
Now, it's not
God.
specific about what got tough. So you get to pick something that was tough in your life and what kept you from quitting to get through that part of your life.
Is this specific to the industry or are we talking life in
Doesn't say.
general?
Doesn't say. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
pick the part of your life that got tough and you said, not going to quit. I'm going to keep going.
Okay. Um, a couple of years ago, I was participating in a Spartan race. Those are the obstacle course races for the people that don't know, mud runs. This particular one was the Spartan Ultra, which is, well, they say it's about 32 miles, I think, and but no one ever really properly tracks the mileage. So it could be up to like 36 sometimes, I've heard.
Whew.
But my buddy and I were participating in this thing, and it was, needless to say, brutal. And we had just passed the midway point, and conveniently, the track led us right along the edge of where the cars were parked. And he and I are standing there. I think we've been on the course now for about 10 hours, maybe nine
Ay.
hours. And we're both like, I don't know if I can go any further. Like, my legs are shot. I'm done. And two people came up behind me, like, those moments where it's like this person just entered your life for good reason. These two people popped up and they were like, what the hell are you doing? We don't have time to stop. Keep going, keep moving. And they managed to snap us out of that failure mindset and just charge forward instead. And we ended up finishing. I mean, it took us until 8 o'clock that night. We had been on we started at 7:30, I think. And
Ah.
that little push that they gave us completely changed our entire outlook on everything because then it snapped into like, okay, I cannot quit. I have to keep going. No matter what, we are walking off this course. Either they're dragging us off or we're walking out fail winners. And sure enough, my buddy and I think we ranked absolute last in the grand scheme of things. But
No,
boy,
you did
howdy, did
not.
we do it.
All the people who didn't do the race, they're last. You are way ahead of them.
Okay, good point. I'm going to look at it that way. But
That's
it definitely
incredible.
It taught me a life lesson because it's like whenever, those moments when you start to have that doubt, sometimes you just need that little nudge to say, like, no, you've got it in you. You've got another 6 miles to go inside of you. So
Yeah.
I really try to take that mentality into not just like going to the gym or working, anything like that. I really try to adopt that into my work mindset. Like when the going gets really hard, I really just, you have more in you. You can push a little harder. So I always try to remember that life lesson. And yeah, my buddies and I just signed up for another Spartan Ultra at in November. So we'll see how this one goes.
All right. Well, we'll be cheering you on, and I know that you're going to do great. Kevin, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today and having you on the show. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge. And yeah, it's just been great to spend time with you.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me on the show. And I'm so happy for you for this show. I can't wait to see where everything goes because I really, yeah, I think it'll be great.
Fantastic. All right. I will see you soon and have a great evening. Thank you for listening to Beyond Hormones, the business of wellness. I hope that you're walking away with fresh ideas and real strategies you can use to grow your practice with profit and purpose. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the show so you never miss a conversation. And if something you heard today resonated with you, do me a favor, share this episode with a friend or a colleague. It's one of the best ways you can support the show, and it might be exactly what they need to hear right now. If you want even more tools and support, go ahead and head over to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com. Until next time, keep doing the work that matters. Your patients need you, and I am cheering you along every step of the way.